So now that we know the formulas that we need to use, we're going to do some practice problems. Here we've got this pyramid. They're asking us to find lateral and total surface area. They're telling us that the slant height is 12. So if you wanted to, you could go ahead and draw that in and put a 12 there. Remember our formulas: lateral 1/2 perimeter times slant height. Total is going to be that thing plus the area of our base. So if this is a square pyramid, each side is 7. So our perimeter would be 28 because there's 4 7s. And then that slant height they told us is 12. So this just becomes 14 times 12. What's 144 plus 28? 168. I think if I did that right. Okay, so that's our lateral area. We want to make sure that we put meters squared, and we're good to go. Okay, so next we need to find total. So we're going to take that same amount, add the area of that base. Well, since this is a square base, area of our base is just going to be side times side. So add that 49, and I think you should get 217 square meters. Okay, simple enough because they gave us everything that we needed. They told us slant height, they told us the edge length here of our square pyramid, so not too bad to find capital B, capital P, and L. This next one isn't quite so simple. So it's another square pyramid. It's got a nice square base, but we don't have the slant height, we have the altitude. We know one of the bases has a length of 18, so that means each side of my base is going to be 18. Now, we need the slant height, we don't need the altitude. So to find the slant height, like I mentioned in our other video, this is going to be a right triangle problem. So we need to be able to find all the parts of this right triangle. They told us the altitude is 24, so I know this is 24. And so I'm going to take this triangle, just kind of draw it over here by itself. Alright, if this is a square, and this should be dead center in my square, if the whole length is 18, that should be exactly half of that. So it's going to be 9. And then we need to figure out the hypotenuse there. Okay, so this is just Pythagorean theorem. 9 squared plus 24 squared equals L squared. So that slant height is going to be the square root of that. And I don't think that comes out to be a perfect square. Let's square to 657. Which, no, that's not a perfect square. So that's our slant height. We'll just leave it like that. Now that we have our slant height, all we need to do is find perimeter, and we're good to go. So perimeter is going to be for those 18s. So it's at 72, I believe. Yeah. So our lateral, go ahead and write that down here, capital L. It's going to be half of 72 times the square root of 657. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and reduce that. And not much more we can do with that. So since they gave us meters, again, that's an area, gotta have meters squared. The last part is our total area. So that's that same value we just got plus area of that base. And since area of the base is just length times width, it's just a square. Let's do 18 times 18. It's going to be 324. And all of that stuff, meters squared. Now usually they're going to have you type that into your calculator, round off. For now I'm just going to leave them in exact form, but the process is really what we need to get down. So the tricky part on this one, we needed to identify this right triangle. We needed to find all the parts of that right triangle, and that gave us slant height, and it also helped us just kind of visualize how does that slant height come into play relative to the altitude. Last one we're going to do on this video is going to be a different kind of pyramid that we've been working with. So this last one is going to be a regular pentagonal pyramid. They're telling us the altitude and the slant height. Okay, so that's nice and all. Slant height is important. We need that. The altitude, though, we don't really need that. We need to know something about the base. We need area of the base. We also need perimeter of the base. If we don't have those two things, we can't get either the lateral or total. And they're just saying surface area. Whenever they say surface area, that really just implies the total. So what I'm going to do is draw in a right triangle. So here's the center of my pentagon. I'm going to find the midpoint there and make my right triangle like this. So this right here is my slant height. This right here is my altitude, and this is the apothem. So let's see, altitude, they told me is 15, slant height is 17. We need to find the apothem. Okay, that's just another Pythagorean theorem question. So 17 squared. So this squared is the same as 15 squared plus little a squared. Let's see, if we subtract those on both sides, I think we get 64. Okay, kind of important. Apothem is 8. That's nice. Okay, but we still haven't figured out the perimeter of our base. We also have not figured out the area of that thing. We need one of these side lengths here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now take a look at this triangle in the bottom plane and work with it to figure out part of my base length. And I can find the radius if I want to, don't have to. So that green one I'm going to redraw down here. Apothem goes there. I'm looking for this part, I'll call it X. Okay, so if I can solve for X here, that's going to tell me part of my base length, which is going to help me figure out perimeter, which also helps me figure out the area. How do we do that? Well, we did this last chapter. This is a regular pentagon. Each angle in here is going to be 108. And that tells us this is a 54-degree angle. If you don't remember that, go back to chapter 11 and look at the notes or the videos we had for areas of regular polygons, and you'll see how we came up with that. So this is going to be a trig question. Apothem we know is 8. And so if this is the opposite, that's my adjacent, I'm going to say tan of 54 is the same as 8 is to x. And when you cross multiply and divide, okay, so kind of needed that. That's part of our base. Well, that's in fact half of one of our edge lengths of our base. So if I have 5 sides, and that's half of it, altogether my perimeter is going to be 10 of those, which would be 80 divided by that. Okay, there's my perimeter. Kind of need that. I need area of base, so that's one other part. Area of a regular pentagon, do that over here. 1/2 perimeter times apothem. Okay, let's see what that reduces to. That should be 320 divided by tangent of 54. Because I took half of 80, which is 40, times 8 is 320. So there's my area of my base. Okay, so I need that in my formula. 1/2 perimeter times slant height plus area of my base. Need some more room to work here. So I'm gonna put some scratch paper up. So that's going to be half of our perimeter we found over here. Slant height they told us was 17 plus area of that base. Okay, to simplify that as much as possible, so I get 680. I did half of 80 times 17 divided by tangent 54 plus 320 also divided by tangent 54, which together looks like 1,000. Alright, and they gave us inches, so that's going to be all inches squared when we're done.